making headlines tonight. The Prime Minister says the Pachum Ben holiday has not caused a spike in COVID-19 infections and that the kingdom is on track for a full reopening of the economy. The Ministry of Social Affairs announces help for the homeless. It wants them back home with their problems solved. And tributes pour in for Colin Powell after the first black US Secretary of State dies from COVID-19 complications. This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. Almost 2 weeks after Pachum Ben, Prime Minister Hun Sen has declared that the three-day holiday has not had a major impact on COVID-19 cases in the country. The holiday was seen as a major test for the kingdom ahead of an expected full reopening of the economy. The Prime Minister delivered a speech on Tuesday morning. While delivering that assessment of the holiday, he also urged people in the provinces to not bring their COVID-19 positive relatives to the capital for treatment, saying that provincial hospitals were more than capable. EAC News reporter Reo Soko has the story.
No outbreak of COVID-19 resulting from Pachum Ben. This was emphasized by Prime Minister Hun Sen during Tuesday morning's address. He says the number of daily COVID-19 cases and death toll have remained stable, considering that many people traveled across the country during the three-day holiday. Pictures of crowded places, especially at the coast, flooded the internet, raising fears that the holiday would result in a huge spike in COVID-19 cases. But this hasn't been the case. Prime Minister Hun Sen says as a result, the kingdom is ready for a full reopening. Despite this, he has urged the public to continue being vigilant as the pandemic shows no sign of ending anytime soon. He also says there is no need for people in the provinces to send their COVID-19 positive relatives to Phnom Penh for treatment.
ចំណែកឯការព្យាបាលទៀតសោតយើងបានសង្កេតឃើញថាកន្លងទៅនេះគឺមានការបញ្ជូនអ្នកជំងឺយ៉ាងច្រើនមកកាន់ទីក្រុងភ្នំពេញក្នុងពេលដែលរាជរដ្ឋាភិបាលបានពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពព្យាបាលនៅតាមខេត្តនិងនៅតាមភូមិភាគដែលអាចឆ្លើយតបបានជាមួយនឹងការព្យាបាលសម្រាប់ជំងឺ COVID ដែលបានកើតចំពោះប្រជាពលរដ្ឋយើងនៅតាមខេត្តការរៀបចំពង្រឹងសមត្ថភាពនៅតាមខេត្តនេះគឺបានធ្វើឡើងយូរក្រែលមកហើយក៏បានឆ្លើយតបជាមួយនឹងការដោះស្រាយបញ្ហានៅតាមបណ្ដាខេត្តប៉ុន្តែជាទម្លាប់ធម្មតារបស់ប្រជាពលរដ្ឋរបស់យើងមិនតាន់ទឹកចិត្តទាំងស្រុងទៅលើមន្ទីរពេទ្យខេត្តនោះទេទើបបានជាប្រជាពលរដ្ឋរបស់យើងបានបញ្ជូនក្រុមគ្រួសារឪពុកម្ដាយញាតិមិត្តមកកាន់ទីក្រុងភ្នំពេញដើម្បីទទួលបាននូវការព្យាបាលការបញ្ជូនអ្នកជំងឺ COVID មកកាន់ទីក្រុងភ្នំពេញគឺមិនមែនជាវិធីដ៏ល្អសម្រាប់ស្រោចស្រង់អាយុជីវិតរបស់អ្នកជំងឺដែលជាសាច់ឈាមសាច់ញាតិរបស់យើងនោះទេ
The Prime Minister has also asked the general public to stop discriminating against COVID-19 patients undergoing home treatment. Prime Minister Hun Sen concluded his speech asking for unity during the pandemic, saying now is the time to adapt to a new normal of living with COVID-19, while thanking what he again called friendly countries for their staunch support of the kingdom's hugely successful vaccination drive. Raya Soko, EAC News.
Cambodia's daily COVID-19 figures continue to head in the right direction. The Prime Minister has said that Pachum Ben has not led to a spike in cases and that the kingdom is set for a full reopening of the economy. Cases did peak at 272 last Wednesday, but have since come down sharply. On Tuesday, the Health Ministry confirmed just 175 new COVID-19 cases by way of PCR tests, and 11 more deaths have been reported. There have been 271 patients discharged in the past 24 hours, taking the number of active cases down to 2,927. The latest stats take the kingdom's total COVID-19 case count to 117,035. The death toll has reached 2,681. The number of patients treated successfully has climbed to 111,420. Students in Siem Reap have gone back to school. A total of 173 primary and secondary schools in the province have now been allowed to reopen. On Monday, 44 public secondary schools welcomed back their students. The Provincial Department of Education, Youth and Sport says it's a test run before the rest of the province's schools get the green light to go back to class. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko has the story.
Out of 82 secondary schools, 44 have been approved and reopened on Monday. At the primary level, Siem Reap has a total of 514. 129 of them will reopen on Wednesday. Siem Reap Deputy Governor Pov Pisset says they went through several stages of inspection and evaluation before giving permits of reopening. Pisset is also the permanent deputy chairman of the Commission for Monitoring and Evaluating the Reopening of Provincial Public and Private Education Institutions. Their committee is being chaired by Provincial Governor Si Racha. Pisset says the decision follows the recommendation of Prime Minister Hun Sen and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports. They started in low-risk districts. 8 were identified as low risk for COVID-19. Provincial Director of the Department of Education, Youth and Sport, Li Buna, says that teachers and school personnel were all tested for COVID-19 before the reopening. Students were also vaccinated. She has added that they are fully prepared for the reopening and that going back to face-to-face classes still has a maximum capacity of 15 students per class, as instructed by the Ministry of Education. Apart from preparing teachers, parents are also being urged to monitor the health of their children as they go back to school. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has met with the US Asean Business Council. Tuesday's meeting tackled business activities in the kingdom with the aim of encouraging more foreign investment. The Prime Minister says he would welcome more investors from the United States in the fields of energy, industry, health, finance, and export-import. The EAC News reporter Reo Soko has more.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has called on investors from the United States to invest in Cambodia. He has highlighted the kingdom's efforts with regards to business reform, aiming to attract investors and increase business activity. In response, U.S. Asean Business Council President Ted Osios says they are encouraged by Cambodia's development. He says U.S. investors are interested in Cambodia's fields of energy, industry, health, technology, and exports. Osios also announced more assistance to Cambodia in the economic field for the post-pandemic recovery, as well as helping to build energy security capacity. The Prime Minister has thanked the United States for providing COVID-19 vaccines and expressed his pleasure that the U.S. ASEAN Business Council recognized the rapid vaccination rates in the country and their positive results. He has also revealed Cambodia's plans to tackle climate change issues and presented some potential areas in this regard for investment. The U.S. ASEAN Business Council president has pledged that the organization will continue to support Cambodia, most especially throughout its ASEAN chairmanship next year. Reyes Soko, EAC News.
The Ministry of Social Affairs has instructed its officials to look for homeless people in the country's cities and towns and interview them in order to identify their home province and assist them in getting back home. Minister of Social Affairs Vong Sot believes getting the homeless back to their places of birth will be the best way for government to provide the right assistance. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko has the details.
The Minister of Social Affairs, Vong Sot, says the plan was laid down by the National Committee for Solving Homelessness last year. Guidelines for its implementation have now been set. He has instructed the Department of Social Affairs to question the homeless to determine their place of birth, so they can be directed back to their hometown. In this way, the department can also study their family situations and better understand the cause of their poverty. The minister says government can assist them with cash support through the Poor Card, which can also enable access to free social services. A 2020 survey found 2,672 homeless people in need of being helped across the country. 1,058 of them have since been reunited with their families and communities. Yuri Matosco, EAC News.
Police in Banteay Meanchey continue to have their hands full with would-be migrant workers trying to cross the border into Thailand. On Monday night, a border operation team was on patrol in Banteay Meanchey's Malai district when they nabbed no fewer than 34 Cambodians trying to get into Thailand. Led by the commander of Banteay Meanchey military operations, General Rit Rom, and supported by the Border Police Battalion, the operation was carried out in a village of Bung Beng commune in the Malai district. 34 Cambodians, including 15 women, were allegedly attempting to illegally cross the border in search of work. Commander of the Banteay Meanchey military operations area, General Chim Bun An, has told EAC News that in order to prevent illegal border crossings, the military has imposed strict security regulations along the border. After the latest arrests, the general has pleaded with locals not to trust labour brokers who are taking money off desperate people with the promise of getting them jobs in Thailand. Those arrested on Monday night are now in quarantine centres after being tested for COVID-19. Tributes have poured in for former U.S. Secretary of State Colin Powell, who died on Monday due to complications from COVID-19. U.S. Ambassador to Cambodia W. Patrick Murphy has tweeted that Powell was among the finest of the 11 Secretaries of State he has served under, calling Powell a strategic, inclusive, accessible and inspiring leader, adding that America had lost a patriot and pioneer who overcame obstacles to reach the pinnacles of military and diplomatic service. Colin Powell was the first black U.S. Secretary of State and a top military officer. He served under 3 Republican presidents and was one of America's foremost black figures for decades. He even considered a run for the White House, but was persuaded to change his mind by his wife. He later endorsed Barack Obama.
Today, a grateful nation observes the end of a distinguished career and celebrates 35 years of service and victory. A victory for the United States military that gave young Colin Powell a chance to learn and to grow and to lead. A victory for the military and political leaders who continue to elevate him based on their complete confidence and sheer respect. A victory for a nation well served. And in a larger sense, a victory for the American dream, for the principle that in our nation, people can rise as far as their talent, their capacities, their dreams, and their discipline will carry them.
Powell will forever be associated with his controversial presentation at the UN Security Council in February 2003, when he tried to make President George W. Bush's case that Iraqi President Saddam Hussein constituted an imminent danger to the world because of his alleged stockpiles of chemical and biological weapons. Powell admitted later that the presentation was rife with inaccuracies and twisted intelligence provided by others in the Bush administration and represented a blot that would always be part of his record. But in spite of that, tribute to him has still been paid by the United Nations.
The Secretary General is saddened by the passing of Colin Powell, the former U.S. Secretary of State. Mr. Powell, who was the first African-American Secretary of State, had a distinguished career both in defense and foreign policy. The Secretary General extends his heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families, the government, and the people of the United States.
Powell's family took to Facebook to say that they had lost a remarkable and loving husband, father, grandfather, and a great American. Powell had been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, but contracted the virus again several weeks ago. He died of complications arising from cancer. Colin Powell was 84. Now for a look at some other news making international headlines this Tuesday, the 19th of October.
South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff has confirmed that North Korea has fired an identified projectile off its east coast, also known as the Sea of Japan. It's the latest apparent missile launched by the nuclear-armed state. Japan's Coast Guard issued a maritime safety advisory to ships but did not immediately know where the weapon landed. The launch came as the intelligence chiefs of the United States, South Korea, and Japan were due to meet in Seoul to discuss the standoff with North Korea. Last month, North Korea's state media reported that Pyongyang had carried out successful tests of a new long-range cruise missile. Days later, it launched ballistic missiles off its east coast, a move condemned by neighboring Japan. Nuclear negotiations between North Korea and the United States made some initial progress under the Trump administration, but talks broke down almost 2 years ago when Washington refused to grant sanctions relief in exchange for Pyongyang dismantling of nuclear weapons and long-range missiles. Earlier this year, a top North Korean official said Pyongyang will not respond to numerous invitations to restart nuclear discussions until the US dropped what he called its hostile policies.
Portuguese and Spanish authorities have seized 5.2 tons of cocaine from a sailboat around 550 kilometers from Portugal's coast. It is Portugal's largest drug bust in 15 years in a world record haul on the high seas. 3 suspects have been arrested, 2 Spanish nationals and 1 Peruvian. The 3 are part of a powerful drug ring known for transporting drugs from Latin America to Europe. Authorities discovered 183 cloth sacks of cocaine aboard the vessel, headed for the continental European market. It has a wholesale value of about $30,000 per kilo, or a street value of about $150 million. According to the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction, the seizure comes as new gangs continue to muscle into cocaine markets in Europe, setting up smuggling networks directly linking producers in Latin America with European users.
And the moment a home gets swept away during floods in southern India. Footage shows local residents of the city of Kottayam as they helplessly watch as the building dramatically slides back into the river. Heavy rains lashed the South Indian state of Kerala over the weekend. Rainfall across the state has led to flash floods and landslides in the several areas, killing at least 22 people. The Indian Army and Navy have been deployed to carry out rescue missions to evacuate residents. Kerala last fell victim to flooding in 2018. They claimed the lives of over 400 people and were described as its worst floods in a century.
All right, stay with the Daily Roundup. Coming up after the break, a look at the day's sports news. EAC News fully supports the royal government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the Daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News Channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear. It's a big night in the UEFA Champions League. Liverpool are away to Atletico Madrid, while Real Madrid travel to Shakhtar Donetsk for their Champions League group matches. Madrid doesn't hold happy memories for Liverpool. They were beaten both home and away by Diego Simeone's team in the Champions League round of 16 last season. But they travelled to Madrid for their latest group stage match off the back of a dominant 5-0 league win over Watford on Saturday. Jurgen Klopp's team are top of Group B on 6 points from 2 games, 2 ahead of second-place Atletico, while Porto sit third with 1 point and AC Milan are at the bottom following 2 defeats. Meanwhile, Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti has called for his team to improve on recent performances as they prepare to face Shakhtar Donetsk. Real Madrid lost their previous 2 games before the international break, an ever-shifting one that is clearly a source of irritation for their manager.
The truth is, I don't know the reason. I think that every year there's a different type of preparation because there are different timings. Sometimes there's a lot more time, sometimes players don't arrive. I don't know if it's because of this. I think that at this moment in the season, nearly all the teams are stretched. It's very normal. I think it affects the game in September, October, and November. But we also have to think that this is not the most important time of the season. The most important time of the season is at the finals in April and May.
Real Madrid are second in Group D with 3 points from 2 games, 3 behind leaders Sheriff. Inter Milan are third with just 1 point, ahead of Shakhtar Donetsk on goal difference. The Bulls team of Urs Huber and Simon Schneller have won the men's opening stage of the Cape Epic on Monday in the town of Ceres in South Africa's Western Cape province. This is the 17th edition of the event and the biggest of its kind on the African continent.
In a tight finish, Huber and Schneller held on to beat the Bulls' 2 team of Martin Frey and Simon Stibjan into second place, with the Kenyan North Wave MTB team of Andrew Seawald and Martin Stozek finishing third. Prologue winners Matt Beers and Jordan Serro of 91 Songo Specialized finishing 4th, but retained their overall lead with a healthy gap of just under 2 minutes. Cape Epic debutants Sina Fry and Laura Stig of 91 Songo Specialized topped the podium in the women's race. The pair came in nearly 5 minutes ahead of second-place finishers Ariana Lutti and Robin de Groot of Sally's Med. The Cape Epic takes riders through some of South Africa's most stunning scenery before it wraps up on Sunday.
Professionals usually take 10 to 15 minutes to complete a hole on a golf course, but 4 European Tour players have teamed up to set a new Guinness World Record. They managed it in less than 30 seconds. Time now for a look at tomorrow's weather. And finally, the Crusades of the Middle Ages are the stuff of myth and legend, despite also being historical fact, but very little of them survives to this day. That was until an amateur archaeologist discovered something very special on the Mediterranean seabed this week. It has been lost to the sands of time for almost a millennium, and it was in the sand at the bottom of the Mediterranean off the coast of the Israeli port city of Haifa that it was found. The sword is believed to have belonged to a crusader who sailed to the Holy Land in the 12th century to reclaim Jerusalem for Christianity. The Israel Antiquities Authority says it was spotted by an amateur diver on Monday. Although it's encrusted with marine organisms, the meter-long blade, hilt, and handle are still distinctive, and it's very heavy.
We also assuming that this Crusader knight belonged to the community of knights that were sitting on the citadel of athletes, because it's not so far from there. And we're assuming right now, because it's the beginning of the research, we have to clean it, we have to do a röntgen before that, and then we will get some more information about the sword. Maybe there is a name written on it, maybe there is a decoration, and that will also give us more information about the knight who hold this beautiful sword.
The sword, believed to be some 900 years old, will be put on display after it's cleaned and restored. Thanks for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News channel. You'll get more breaking news and updates from our website. Head to www.eacnews.asia. You can also search for EAC News on Telegram and at your favorite app store. More from the EAC News team in the Daily Roundup tomorrow night at 8. I will see you then.